8. Spine-chilling cruise ship horrors. Once we set sail, the sinister secrets were exposed. Jason, Rachel, and their adventurous daughter Mia soared through the crowded departure terminal, hearts racing with excitement as they boarded the SS Horizon. The ship gleamed under the Florida sun, a floating palace promised to whisk them away from the grind of daily life. As they stepped onto the polished deck, a chorus of laughter and chatter enveloped them like a warm cocoon. But would that joy hide something darker? The first night set the stage for terror. Dinner was a lavish feast piled high with seafood delights. Just as they reveled in the moment, a loud crash echoed, and a crew member, previously beaming with hospitality, disappeared behind the swinging doors of the kitchen, a flicker of fear darting across his face. Whispers spread among guests like wildfire. Rumors of smuggling flickered through the room. Panic tickled Rachel's spine. She felt something lurking beneath the surface. As they returned to their cabin, shadows loomed in the corners of long hallways, watching, waiting. Days turned into a nightmarish blur. Each sunrise birthed hope only to snuff it out soon after. Laughter faded as dread settled over the ship when a little boy from another family vanished. Families clung to each other, exchanging wide-eyed glances infused with distrust. For every giggle from the kids' club, an unsettling undercurrent pulsed through the air, thickening like the humidity of Tampa Bay. A false sense of safety had replaced the once celebrated ambiance. The ship teetered off balance, a banquet of fear hiding behind a facade. One evening, as they lounged on their cabin's balcony, a sense of dread crashed over them like the churning waves below. The ship's lights flickered ominously, plunging them into momentary darkness before tossing them back with a jolt of fluorescent light. A piercing scream sliced through the heavy air, igniting chaos. A frantic announcement blared over the intercom, urging calm while only amplifying the hysteria. Mia tugged on Rachel's arm, wide-eyed. In the fray, she slipped away, swallowed by the frantic crowd. Panic surged in Jason's chest. "Mia!" he yelled. Adrenaline thundered through him as he plunged into the chaos. Frantic, Jason and Rachel searched the dimly lit halls, racing heartbeats sinking with frantic breaths. Each corner turned, deepened their despair, shadows morphing into grotesque shapes. A sense of wrongness clung to the air, wrapping around them like a cold, wet blanket. A sudden chilling realization hit them as they stumbled upon ominous notes scattered across the floor, secrets etched in hurried handwriting, echoing from the ship's dark past, threats of dangers hidden in bright promises. Just then, they spotted a familiar face lurking in the shadows. The neighbor they had shared cocktails with before the trip was now displaying a disconcerting grin, its familiarity tainted with malice. Jason's heart raced, nausea gripping his stomach as their trust dissolved. They could feel shattered illusions crashing around them. Every laugh, every smile grew defiled. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With every revelation tightening around them like a noose, Rachel's breath quickened as she caught a sound that pierced the chaos. A voice reverberating down the corridor, cruelly taunting. "You shouldn't have come here." The walls felt alive, pulsing with dread. What lay ahead twisted their stomachs. Would they ever find Mia? Or had they already sealed their own fates with curiosity? Jason's feet thundered against the hard floor as he sprinted towards the source of the haunting voice. Ice-cold fear gripped his heart. He called out for Mia again, but the chaotic noise around him swallowed his plea. Frantic footsteps echoed from all directions. Shadows shifted in the corners of his vision, elusive specters dancing just out of reach. "Stay close," he shouted to Rachel, who was only a few steps behind him, desperation etched on her face. They bolted down a narrow corridor, the ship's tormented design closing in around them like a sinister maze. The unsettling laughter of children drifted past, mingling with the sobs of worried parents, creating a discordant symphony of terror. They stumbled upon a small gathering outside the closed door of the crew quarters. Panic surged through Jason as he pushed his way through the crowd, jostling shoulders and desperate faces. Huddled together, a group of passengers whispered amongst themselves, their eyes wide, reflecting a shared dread. "What's happening?" Jason gasped, frustration brimming over. Someone in the crowd turned to him, eyes glazed as if in a trance. "He's gone. He was right there," a woman murmured, her voice trembling. "The little boy. And now Mia." A chill swept through Jason, electrifying his limbs. "What do you mean? Where did they go?" "Into the darkness," the woman replied, shaking her head. "Into the dark. The ship, it wants them." Rachel's grip tightened around Jason's arm. "What do we do? We can't just stand here." Before Jason could respond, the lights flickered violently again, the ship trembling as an unseen force surged beneath them. Then, an awful groan echoed down the corridor, like the haunting sigh of a forgotten soul. The passengers jumped back, dread flooding the air. "Get away from there!" someone shouted as the door to the crew quarters creaked open. A shadow emerged, a crew member with wild eyes, disheveled and trembling. "It's here," he gasped, panic threading through his voice. "You have to leave. You don't know what's lurking. It feeds on fear." An icy clutch gripped Jason's heart. "What do you mean? Who? What is it?" "Somewhere within the ship, an ancient evil. It's coming alive. It hungers." The crew member stumbled back, fear blanketing his features. Suddenly he turned and ran, lost into the twisting nightmare of the ship. Jason felt the world spin. He couldn't just wait. They had to find Mia. "This way!" he yelled, gesturing for Rachel to follow as he tore down another hallway lined with flickering lights. Every shadow seemed to writhe. Every creak of the ship echoed like a warning signal. Rachel clung to Jason's side, her breathing quickened, terror brewing in the depths of her stormy eyes. As they ventured deeper into the bowels of the SS Horizon, they stumbled upon a hidden lounge. Here, framed by the dim glow of emerald lights, the atmosphere twisted the air into a palpable enigma. In the center stood a solitary table draped in black velvet. On it lay a collection of items, lost belongings, the boy's cap among them, untouched by time but heavy with foreboding. Rachel gasped. Jason's stomach turned. "No," he whispered, dread pooling in his chest. Then, out of nowhere, Mia's voice echoed from somewhere in the darkness beyond the lounge, calling out, "Help! I'm here!" A spark ignited in Jason's chest as he dashed toward the sound. But as he reached the threshold of the lounge, a chilling wind swept through, and the door behind them slammed shut. "Jason!" Rachel cried, her body jolting back just as a shadow flickered ominously on the far wall. They turned to see dark figures emerging from the corners, lost souls drifting between reality and nightmare. The shadowed shapes bore no faces, only gnashing teeth and hollow cries. Jason's heart raced, adrenaline waking instincts buried deep within. They weren't just here to find Mia anymore. Now they were fighting for their lives. Suddenly, another voice cut through the haze of despair, cloaked in sinister laughter. "You've wandered far into the dark, and now you must pay." What sort of evil had they invited into their lives when they boarded this ship? And just a heartbeat away, Mia's cry grew weaker. Would they save her before the darkness claimed them all? The thought ripped through Jason like a blade. Jason felt a surge of panic wash over him, drowning out everything else. He couldn't let the darkness consume them. Rachel's face was pale, frozen in horror, but he could see the flicker of determination in her eyes. "We have to do something!" he yelled over the cacophony of wails that filled the lounge. The shadowed figures shivered and writhed, inching closer. Their amorphous shapes distorted in the dim light, voices echoing off the walls like whispers caught in a storm. "You should never have come," they murmured, each syllable thick with malice. "Get ready!" Jason shouted, bracing himself. He quickly scanned the room for anything they could use as a weapon. A candlestick caught his eye, its metal reflecting the dim glow ominously. He lunged for it, adrenaline fueling his actions. As his hand closed around the cold metal, the shadows lunged toward them, mouths wide and shrieking. Jason swung the candlestick, the metal whistling through the air, striking one of the dark figures. It dissipated into wisps like smoke caught in a breeze, but not before a chilling scream reverberated around them. "Keep moving, Jason," Rachel urged, her voice shaky but resolute. She grabbed Jason's arm, pulling him towards the door, now their only hope. "Mia needs us!" The door, ominously sealed, groaned as Jason pushed against it, desperately praying it would yield. The shadows swirled behind them, screeches escalating into a deafening roar, drowning out Mia's weak voice. "Help, please!" With a heaving thrust, Jason slammed his shoulder against the door. It rattled but didn't budge. Another strike, harder this time, made splinters fly. The figures shrieked in protest, growing frantic in their cacophony. They were surrounding them, the air thick with malice. "In here!" Rachel shouted suddenly, pointing to a small vent in the corner. It was their only chance. Jason's heart sank. "It's too small." "Don't care, we have to try." With urgency driving them, they fell to their knees, forcing themselves into the cramped space. The shadows surged toward them, reaching with claw-like hands. Just as Jason squeezed in beside Rachel, a shadowy tendril grazed his ankle, a cold, iron grip. "Go!" he shouted, adrenaline overtaking his fear as he shoved Rachel ahead of him. The darkness yanked at him. He kicked backward, feeling the tendril dig deeper, piercing his skin. "Ah! Get in!" Rachel cried. With one final shove, he fought against the pain and lunged forward. Just as the shadows bore down on him, he crammed himself into the vent, feeling the dark tendril slip from his grasp. They found themselves in another corridor, the air stale and suffocating. Jason wheezed, each breath a struggle. "Where do we go?" Rachel asked frantically, glancing around. "Toward the sound, the voice," he urged, grimy walls closing in on them. His heart hammered against his ribs as they sprinted forward, each step echoing into the unknown. "Mia!" they called, the name spilling from their lips like hope against despair. But the dim atmosphere felt hopeless, eerie silence creeping back in. They pushed on, dread thickening the air. Shadows danced just beyond their field of vision. The corridor twisted ahead, and they stumbled onto an open deck, moonlight spilling over them. But the world outside was a different place. Flickering lights illuminated an endless void, the water swirling violently, stretching to heights that shouldn't exist. At the center was a figure, a small girl, alone on the edge. "Mia!" Jason shouted, hope soaring briefly. But the darkness wrapped around her like a noose, inching toward her fragile shape. "No! Stay back!" Rachel screamed, pulling Jason to a halt. "What is that?" From the shadows, a voice, chilling and serenely cruel, whispered back. "She is ours, just as you all will be." In that moment, Jason realized the true horror awaiting them. Not just an entity, it was a living nightmare, feeding on despair, and they were next on its menu. With hearts racing, they stood at the edge of reality. Could they break free from this malevolence and save Mia? Or would they become just another whisper in the wind? As they gathered their strength, the pull of darkness loomed closer. A decision must be made, a sacrifice offered. What price would they pay to uncover the truth hidden within the haunted bowels of the SS Horizon? Jason's heart thudded painfully in his chest as he stared at Mia, trapped just beyond the grasp of the swirling shadows. The darkness wrapped around her like sinuous serpents, tightening with each passing second. He could feel Rachel's grip on his arm, cold and unyielding, mirroring the dread pooling in his stomach. "Mia!" he shouted again, desperation clawing at his throat. But the shadows merely laughed, horrific, echoing giggles that sent chills through his spine. Their sound turned the air electric, crackling with malice. He could see Mia's eyes wide and terrified, glistening with unshed tears. "Jason, help me!" she cried, her voice quivering like a fragile thread. The darkness seemed to pulse in response, hungry, eager for fear. "We have to do something," Rachel breathed, her eyes darting around, scanning for a possible escape. But the deck felt like a trap, every corner closing in, every flicker of light tortured by the shadow's insatiable hunger. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed beneath their feet, causing the ship to tremble. The water churned violently below, waves clashing in an unseen storm. Jason staggered, grasping Rachel for support. What was that?" "They're getting stronger," Rachel whispered, eyes wide. "They're feeding on our fear." "Mia!" he called again, forcing himself to focus, to block out the panic suffocating him. "Hold on, we're coming!" But the shadows vibrated with glee and began to seep toward Mia like smoke, whispering her name, promising her secrets and escapes from fear. Horrified, Jason watched as tendrils began to entwine around her frail body. "No! Get away from her!" He lunged forward, instinct driving him, but Rachel yanked him back. "Think, Jason, if we rush in, we'll—" The shadows lunged too, streaking toward them with blinding speed, their forms twisted, grotesque faces flickering with fury. Jason swung his arm out instinctively, like a shield, as if that would protect them. Then, in an impulsive moment, Rachel screamed, "The vent! There!" She pointed toward an exit behind them, where the shadows were thinner, pulsing uncertainly. "It's our only chance." Jason hesitated, torn. And leave her? The idea twisted his stomach. "She's going to be lost if we don't escape first," Rachel cried. "We can't save her if we're gone." Panic wrestled with logic in his mind, and he felt the painful tug of indecision. The shadows loomed closer, potentially stretching their slim chance of survival further into the abyss. "Okay," he finally shouted, resolute. "We run for the vent. We'll find a way." "To get back to her," Rachel nodded, determination flickering in her eyes. Ignoring the icy grasp of the shadows as they scrambled back, Jason felt them clawing at his skin, sending pulses of ice through him. They were relentless. He bit his lip to stave off screams, pushing through the pain. "This way!" Rachel screamed. They dove into the vent together, the tight space close enough to stifle. As they crawled through the suffocating metal, Jason couldn't shake the feeling of darkness closing in around them. Just as they cleared a bend, a deafening roar erupted outside, louder than the shadows screaming their names. Splintering wood and cracking metal filled the air, and Jason's breath hitched in despair. "Mia!" he gasped, pushing himself harder through the twisting confines of the vent, thoughts racing. "We have to go back for her! We can't leave her there!" But then the vent shuddered beneath him. Splats of water cascaded through the tiny openings, panic pulsing in his mind. They were trapped, cut off from hope. As the darkness clawed at their heels, Jason's determination strengthened. "We'll find another way. We have to break whatever holds her." Outside, the shadows grew restless. Whispering possibilities turned into screams as the ship shuddered again, tilting wildly. pain pierced Jason's heart. They had moved deeper into the dark, and yet he felt it. A soul screaming for help, pulling him, anchoring him to something terrifying yet undeniable. But was it Mia's cry, or something else entirely? The darkness pulsated around them, and Jason knew, whatever the morning revealed, it wouldn't be salvation. What unspeakable terror awaited them beyond the next corner? The vent swallowed them whole, the metal walls closing in tighter with every desperate crawl. The clang of water splashing from above mingled with the urgent pounding of Jason's heart. He could still hear Mia's voice echoing in his mind, a haunting melody of fear and helplessness. "Jason, we have to move faster," Rachel hissed, her voice strained as they pushed through the cramped passage. The air was thick with helplessness, and a damp chill seeped into his bones, as if the darkness was snaking its way into him. "We can't leave her," he gasped, heart racing. "What if—" "She's already gone if we don't hurry. No time for doubt." Rachel's voice was sharp, slicing through his anguish like a knife. The shadows felt closer, creeping through the vent, whispering promises of despair that tried to claw into his mind. Momentum pushed them forward, but every second felt like an eternity. Jason's thoughts spiraled. What if they were too late? What if Mia had given in to the darkness? Suddenly, the vent lurched, a violent thrust that sent them tumbling off balance. Water surged beneath them, filling the space and sloshing in hungry waves. "Go! Go!" Rachel shouted, propelling herself forward. The vent twisted violently, and Jason found himself gripped by a wave of dread. The ship groaned under strain, the sound resonating with the terror wrapping around them. Another shudder rocked the vent, and Jason felt the urge to turn back, to sprint back toward the shadows. The screeches of the darkness echoed, a cacophony of grief calling him. Just as he thought he would break, a glimmer of light spread ahead, cutting through the suffocating void. "Rachel, over there!" he yelled, hope flaring inside him like a match struck in the dark. They pushed through the final bend, emerging into a wide maintenance room, dimly lit with flickering bulbs. Jason stumbled, catching his breath as he rifled through the shadows cast by the machines surrounding them. The room was littered with tools and debris, everything that came with a dilapidated ship. But the shimmering light was not a beacon of safety. It was an ominous pulsing, like a heartbeat, suffocatingly close. "Jason, look!" Rachel pointed, voice shaking. The walls seemed to breathe, the shadows pushing against them as if warding them off. Beneath a covered hatch, darkness throbbed like an angry pulse, wrapping around the doorframe in tendrils. Something's down there," Jason's voice faltered. "If we go in, we might find Mia." "But what if it takes us too?" Rachel protested, but her trembling hands betrayed her indecision. "What if it's a trap?" Jason knew that every second counted. He couldn't stay electric with fear while Mia was possibly losing herself forever. The air felt electric, charged with an otherworldly presence. The pulse from the hatch thrummed louder, a siren song in shadows, drawing him closer against his better judgment. "Stay here, I'll check it out." He began to step forward, but Rachel grabbed him, her grasp shaking. "Don't! It's calling to you!" Through the din of darkness, whispers crafted from nightmares echoed, wrapping around him. Jason's mind raced. Was he walking into a death trap, or was this the only way to save Mia? With a deep breath, he steeled himself. We need to know what's down there. Whatever is in that room could be part of the answer. As he reached for the handle, the air thickened, almost strangling him. He could feel the shadows seeping farther into the room, reaching out, hungry to consume. "Mia," he breathed deeply, the words steeped in desperation. Like a solitary candle flickering against the dark, he opened the hatch, his heart slamming against his ribs in a relentless beat. The darkness roared around him, pulling him in as chaos surged. With one final glance back at Rachel, he felt his resolve shatter. "Stay back!" he shouted over the howling void, just before plunging into the abyss below. What awaited him in that dark pit?
Would he find Mia, or another layer of horror lying in wait? The drop was immediate and disorienting, a freefall that sent Jason's stomach spiraling. He landed with a thud on a cold, damp floor, the darkness swallowing him almost entirely. A rancid stench flooded his senses, clinging to the back of his throat. He brought his hands to his face, trying to fend off the unwanted intrusion. As he steadied himself, heartbeat pounding like a drum in his ears, a low hum reverberated through the air. It was almost melodic, laced with an unsettling undertone. Shadows crawled along the walls like sinister vines, creeping slowly toward him. Mia! The sound of his own voice made him shiver, echoing in the damp, oppressive silence. There was no response. Only the pulsating hum grew louder, intertwining with the chilling whispers that brushed against his ears, disembodied voices that seemed to claw at his very sanity. He blinked away the encroaching darkness, forcing himself to move. The floor was slick beneath his feet, a mix of water and something else he didn't dare to name. He stumbled forward, hands groping for anything solid in the abyss. The room began to take shape, illuminated sporadically by flickering lights overhead. Jason's heart sank as he caught sight of the walls, lined with what appeared to be rusting cages. Each empty cell rattled slowly, as if unseen hands were yearning to be free. Just beyond, discarded remains of personal belongings lay in disarray. Torn photographs, a child's stuffed toy, and a pair of shoes missing their owner. God, no, he breathed, horror curling in his chest like a vice. This was no ordinary maintenance room. It was a tomb. The melodic hum intensified, and Jason's eyes darted around, searching for an exit, something to ground him against the impending doom. He spotted a faint glow in the corner, pulsing rhythmically. It beckoned him, the light almost pleading for attention, luring him closer like a moth to flame. But he hesitated. The pulsing resonated eerily. A thought lodged itself in his mind. If he approached that light, what might emerge from the shadows? Jason! Rachel's voice pierced through the chaos, distant and muffled, but alive. Where are you? Relief surged through him, but it was quickly overshadowed by the realization that he was so far from her. I'm here! I'll find you! He yelled back. But the melody grew louder, drowning out his call, and he felt the shadows shift, closing in slowly around. No more hesitation. He pressed toward the light. Each step sent tremors vibrating through the ground, causing the pulsing sound to distort into dissonant shrieks. Suddenly, the light flickered violently, illuminating the room long enough for him to see. Muffled screams echoed from behind a door, frantic and sharp. "Mia?" Jason whispered, heart racing. The light dimmed, leaving the remnants of flesh-crawling dread. He approached the door cautiously. The frame looked ancient, aged with fear and despair. A frantic knock resonated from within, but this time it wasn't just incoherent cries. "Help! Help! Please!" His mind reeled, torn between duty and terror. But if there was a chance that Mia was there, in that room, he couldn't turn his back on her now. He gripped the handle, cold and unyielding as steel, and took a breath, steeling himself for whatever lay beyond. With a twist, the door opened with a creak that echoed the sorrow within, spilling into the darkness like blood seeping from a wound. What he saw froze him in place. A figure stood in the shadows, features obscured, but an unmistakable sense of dread washed over him. Then, behind the sadness, he recognized a fleeting shadow flit away, a soft echo of Mia's laugh tainted by desperation. "Jason," the figure called out, voice familiar yet distorted. Every rational thought vanished. Was it his sister? Or was it something worse masquerading as her?
Before he could respond, the lights flickered again, and the reality around him distorted, a swirling mix of hope and horror. He needed to know the truth. But with each pulse, the shadows crept closer, hungry to devour him whole. Would he save Mia, or would he lose himself in the abyss? The figure shifted in the dim light, the shadows clinging to its form like a second skin. Jason's heart thundered in his chest. Mia? His voice faltered, uncertainty swimming in his throat. The figure narrowed its gaze, piercing through the darkness. It seemed to breathe, heavy and labored, igniting a primal fear within him. Jason, help me. The voice trembled, a horrifying echo of his sister's, but twisted, tainted by something dark and foreign. Jason took a careful step back, the cold air slashing at his skin. Where's Mia? He demanded, panic bubbling within. Come closer. The figure beckoned, its hand extending, fingers long and twisted. But it sounded so much like Mia, begging and pleading. A flicker of light burst back to life, illuminating staggering remnants of horror around them. The walls began to reveal hundreds of faces, screaming, frozen in anguish, trapped eternally in the throes of terror. They were etched into the stone, the very essence of despair clawing to break free. He stumbled back, horrified, the flickering light fading, drawing shadows closer around him like a tightening noose. Suddenly, the hum returned, low and throaty, morphing into a dissonant chorus. Jason's vision blurred as whispers flooded his mind, hungry for his sanity, curling deeper into his psyche. Help! It was everywhere, coming from the cages, from below, from above. Glimmering fragments of life boxed away in sorrow. Then instinct kicked in. This was not just a game of light and shadow. It was a battlefield for survival. Get back! Get away from me! He shouted, voice cracking like glass. The figure recoiled, but didn't withdraw completely. Instead, it stood firm, a harbinger of dread. The air thickened, pressing down on him, making it hard to breathe. He had to move, had to escape this nightmare. Jason dashed past the figure, heart racing, adrenaline flooding his veins as the walls seemed to close in. He reached the pulsing light, now a blaring beacon of chaos. As he touched it, a jolt surged through him, electrifying, and the room warped. He was in a twisted realm of time and fear, memories mixing
and colliding in a fevered dream. "Mia!" he yelled, but only silence answered. The glowing orb morphed, becoming a swirling portal of dread, revealing distorted visions of trapped souls, lost and screaming for salvation. Their cries reached a fevered pitch, pushing Jason to the brink, clawing at his mind. No way back. He could feel the figure's presence lurking behind, a phantom threatening to drag him down into eternal darkness. "You can't leave," it rasped, voice a blend of agony and ecstasy. "You belong here." A flash of that familiar laugh cut through the noise, chilling him to the bone. "Jason!" Out of instinct, Jason lunged forward into the swirling vortex, desperation over fear, and felt himself being pulled, ripped apart, stretched thin. Then, a sudden release. He was flung onto solid ground, but the familiar air was gone. Before him lay a dim corridor, shrouded in darkness, but punctuated by faint, flickering bulbs. He could still hear the echoes of anguish resonating behind him, the wings of despair flapping just out of reach. He looked back, realizing the door he came through was sealed, a hard boundary between him and the entity that lured him in. And something else hung heavy in the air, an unmistakable scent of decay mingled with the fading echoes of Mia's voice, now frantic, terrified. "Jason!" With renewed purpose, he took a step forward, every sense attuned to the shadows trailing behind him. The flickers of light seemed to lead him somewhere, but would it be salvation or something far worse? He pressed on, the corridor stretching endlessly ahead, a treacherous maze of hope and horror. Each heartbeat echoed louder, a countdown muffled by the suffocating darkness around him. What awaited him at the end? Would he find Mia, or plunge deeper into the abyss where no light emerged? The whispers crescendoed around him, growing louder, more frantic. As he moved forward, Jason couldn't shake the feeling that the darkest secret was yet to be revealed. Would he still be himself once he found it? A shiver traced its way down Jason's spine as he ventured deeper into the corridor. Each flicker of light was like a heartbeat, pulsing, dancing, but with an underlying chaos that threatened to swallow him whole. He pressed forward, every sense on high alert. The air was thick and heavy, suffocating him as the whispers surged like a tide, drowning out his thoughts. "Jason!" A voice echoed more definitively now, closer. It was unmistakably Mia, but there was something in it, something that made his stomach churn. Was it relief he felt, or dread? There was a weight pressing down on him, soaking up any hope he had left. "Where are you?" he yelled, panic brewing within him, sharper than a knife's edge. "Mia!" No answer came, just the crackling of light bulbs and the deepening silence of the corridor stretching on. He could feel a connection to her, a thread woven through shadows that pulled tighter, urging him to press.
Forks in the hallway emerged, twisting like the labyrinthine coils of a serpent. One flickered brightly, flashing with intensity, almost beckoning him. Was this the way to find her, or a trap set with sweet promises? He took a deep breath, forcing himself to choose. The flickering lit his path as he turned. But as he did, the shadows pooled behind him, pooling like spilled ink on a page. The whispers flared back to life, now full of contempt. "You shouldn't have chosen." Jason quickened his pace, sweat dripping down his back, pooling in the small of his back. The walls seemed to pulse, breathing slowly, an organ of dread alive and thrumming with hidden horrors. He caught glimpses of faces in the stone, twisted in agony, mouths open in silent screams. A reminder of what lay ahead if he failed. "Mia!" the shadows called, mocking him. "You'll never escape. Come play with us." That gelid whisper knotted in his stomach, overwhelming him. Losing himself meant losing Mia. He clenched his fists, driving back the tide of despair looming over him like an eclipse. "Shut up!" he shouted, voice cracking, determination breaking through the veil of terror. With each step he took, a flicker of light ignited, leading him deeper into the madness. Then, from the corner of his eye, a flicker of movement, a flash of pale skin disappearing behind a door that had swung ajar. Heart racing, he approached it cautiously, glancing behind him as the whispers clawed at his mind. "Help!" echoed from the room, an eerie blend of urgency and despair. He pushed the door open, the rusty hinge protesting loudly. Inside, darkness gave way to a room filled with shadows and ominous shapes. It had an unsettling familiarity, like a graveyard of memories he couldn't unearth. Worn leather chairs lined the walls, suffocated by time, and dust stood like veils in the air. Just ahead, the shape of a girl, a silhouette that mirrored Mia's. "Mia!" Jason stepped closer, the shadows writhing around him, desperate to reclaim his soul. The figure turned, and the familiar face looked back at him, but the eyes glistened with something sinister. "You shouldn't have never come here," she said, voice laced with a chilling sweetness. Every instinct screamed at him to flee. "What did they do to you?" The figure smiled, but it twisted into something grotesque. The sweet tone was gone. "You found me at last, dear brother, but now you have to decide. Will you join me or leave me behind?" His heart sank. The agonizing truth twisted his guts. Whatever hovered in that room, it wasn't just Mia anymore. "Jason," she whispered, her voice now dripping with dread, "you have to choose."
He hesitated, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. Reality twisted, the air crackling with malevolence. What did he dare to unleash by making a choice? In that moment of uncertainty, Jason's resolve stiffened. He couldn't lose her again, no matter what. But could he be able to retrieve her from the shadows without losing himself? The question lingered in the air as he braced for whatever horror awaited. Would facing the truth guide him to salvation or lead him to eternal darkness? "Join me?" Jason echoed, dread choking his breath. It was not the Mia he knew. This was a warped reflection, a chilling echo of the girl who had once been his sister. Her face twisted further, the light bending around her like a cruel mockery. "Don't you see?" she hissed, voice becoming sharper, serrated like broken glass. "You can't save me. You never could, but you can join me in this place." Jason stepped back, heart pounding. Every instinct told him to run, but those hollow eyes pulled at him, drawing him in deeper. The shadows around them danced with malicious glee, claws dripping with promises of whatever power might linger just out of reach. "No!" he yelled, desperation surging. "You're not her! You're not my sister!" The shadows hissed, merging with the flickering light, forming grotesque shapes that slithered along the walls. Jason's mind raced, terror mingling with anger. "If I leave, if I don't choose, will you stay trapped here?" It was a selfish question, but one that burned in his heart. Mia's figure flickered, momentarily unstable. "It's not just about me anymore," she pleaded, her voice softening, but Jason could hear the layers of evil intertwined with her anguish. "Will you sacrifice yourself for me?" "No, I won't." As the words escaped him, a tremor rippled through the air. The once solid room quaked, the walls warping as if they were caught in a storm. A flash of brightness split the darkness, illuminating grotesque faces of the lost that jutted out, their mouths moving in a silent scream, each trying to escape their eternal prison. The shadows shifted, revealing a doorway behind Mia, jagged and dark. Ugly whispers filled the air. Its promises were sinister, a siren call that threatened to consume him. "Come with us, leave behind the living, join the ones who know the truth." Suddenly, Jason clutched his head, pressure building. He could feel the icy fingers of despair tracing his thoughts. "No!" he shouted, squeezing his eyes shut. He had to think. "I won't give in. I'll find the real Mia, even if it means tearing through the lies." At that moment, everything erupted. The whispers crescendoed, clashing as the darkness seeped into his mind. Light flickered ominously, reflecting the battle between hope and despair. The twisted version of Mia lunged forward, arms outstretched, as if trying to ensnare him in her deadly embrace. But a flicker of clarity ignited. "I choose to fight!" he shouted, channeling every ounce of his rage. He charged past the shadowy figure, not daring to glance back. He raced toward the doorway, its dark abyss inviting yet terrifying, but he refused to be ensnared. As he leaped through, he felt a jolt, a violent response from the shadows that whipped around him.
Him like a tempest. For a heartbeat, the world blurred into chaos, and then he landed hard on the cold, unforgiving floor of a new corridor. Breathless, he stood up, heart hammering. The corridor stretched endlessly before him, darker and denser than before. But something felt different. The air shifted, charged with a dire sense of importance, pushing him forward against the impossible pull of despair. "Jason, come back!" The distorted echo of Mia surrounded him, mocking, chilling his blood. "You can't escape. You are part of this now." He took a shaky step, echoes of despair clinging to his thoughts like cobwebs.
The walls began to pulse once more, an organ of darkness alive under his trembling fingers, a reminder that the horror was far from over. He needed to find the truth. He had to find Mia, the real one, before it was too late. But what lay beyond the shadows, just out of reach? Would he uncover the real horror, or find himself trapped even deeper in this nightmare? The corridor tightened, threatening him with the weight of darkness. Time felt suspended, like the pregnant silence before a scream. Would he lose everything, or would the truth set him free? Jason stumbled deeper into the corridor, each step heavy with dread. The shadows flickered and writhed around him, hungry for his fear. Just ahead, a dim light shimmered, reflecting his growing desperation. "Mia, I'm coming!" he called, his voice echoing back in a haunting tone. The pulse of tension in the air intensified, as if the darkness itself held its breath. Suddenly, the air shifted, and he felt something brush against him, like icy fingers trailing up his spine. He recoiled, fighting the urge to scream. Focus, he told himself. The flickering light held the key. He lunged for it, determined to push through the thick fog of despair. "What do you want from me?" he shouted, the words slipping into the void. The shadows whispered back, their voices a chorus of anguish, mocking his resolve. "You belong to us." Panic surged in his chest, but he forced himself to run toward the light. The closer he got, the more he could feel an energy vibrating in the walls, resonating with his desperation. "You will be swallowed by darkness," a voice rasped, paralyzing and cruel. Finally, he broke through into a vast chamber drenched in light. The walls glimmered with shades of gold, illuminating the forms of those who had been trapped before by the darkness. They hovered in the air, ethereal yet tormented, their faces twisted in silent screams. Jason's heart raced. "Mia!" he cried out again, desperation sparking in his veins. And then he saw her. In the center of the chamber stood a familiar silhouette, framed by golden light but surrounded by shadows that wrapped around her like a noose. "Jason," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "Mia!" He rushed toward her, the warmth of hope fueling his steps. But the shadows surged forward, extending like claws, blocking his path. "No, you can't have her!" Jason growled, adrenaline igniting within him. He grit his teeth and pushed through, swinging his arms wildly at the encroaching darkness, determined to break the chains that bound his sister. "Let her go!" The shadows hissed, recoiling as if stung. "She is ours, Jason. You can't take her back." His eyes locked onto Mia's, the last flicker of innocence in her gaze anchoring him. "I won't let you keep her," he shouted defiantly. With a raw scream, he surged through the barrier of shadows, feeling a surge of claustrophobic energy pushing against him, but he refused to yield. Jason reached Mia just as the darkness lunged at them, and he grabbed her hand. "Hold on!" he cried, pulling her close, but the shadows shrieked back, enveloping them both. "You can't escape! You'll never leave!" "I'm not afraid of you," he shouted, and as he spoke, an unexpected warmth spread through him, a glowing strength pushing back against the shadows. Together they fought, their combined resolve amplifying like a roaring fire against the storm of anguish. The darkness lunged, but Jason tightened his grip on Mia, mirroring her terrified struggle with determination. "Focus on the light!" As they moved, the pulsating gold at the chamber's heart began to swell, reaching out toward them. The shadows writhed and screeched, attempting to tug them back into despair. But it was a losing battle for the darkness. The light engulfed them. With one final surge, they broke free, the ethereal quo consuming the cold, despairing tendrils of the shadows. The chamber erupted in blinding brilliance. And then, as quickly as it began, the light dissipated. Jason found himself sprawled on the floor of their cabin. Mia clutched tightly to his side, her eyes wide and terrified, but alive. "Mia!" Rachel rushed in, worry etched across her face. When she saw them together, relief flooded her features. "Thank God you're back!" Mia launched herself into Rachel's waiting arms. "Mom!" she cried, burying her face against her shoulder. Jason slowed his breath, reality settling in around them. They were safe, alive. But deep within, he knew the darkness was still lurking, waiting for a crack in their newfound peace. "They tried to take her, Rachel," he whispered, as they clung to each other in the aftermath. "But we fought back." Panic twisted Rachel's face. "We have to alert the crew, get everyone off the ship." Jason nodded, feeling the weight of the experience crash over him like an icy wave. "There's no time to lose. We need to get back up to the deck." Together, they moved cautiously, blending into the chaos of other passengers still seeking answers. The terror that had consumed them hung heavy in the air, but Jason felt the light from their escape flicker in his chest, a sliver of hope ignited. As they navigated the ship, whispers of the sinister presence followed them, like shadows at dusk, but he promised himself he would never let
the darkness win again. They would face it head-on, together. And finally, as the ship glided toward the horizon, a promise echoed in Jason's heart. They would reclaim their lives and conquer whatever evil still lingered. The SS Horizon would leave its haunted past behind, and they would sail into the dawn, unyielding against the storms that lay ahead. Now, as the chapter of their terrifying journey closed, a new one awaited, illuminated by the light of hope that burned brighter than any shadow. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now and feed the algorithm to uncover more truths. Flood the comments section with your reactions and thoughts about the ending. What did you think? How would you have faced that darkness? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. They'll thank you for it. Trust me.